Outside the building, the windows were covered and crowded with cameras, and flashbulbs went out constantly as we checked through security. They went into Dandy's pockets and scanned my small purse and put Jacob in front of a big imaging machine. Someone started to pat me down, and they did the same with Alexio and Glenn. They were not taking any chances, and I was grateful for that. If only they had checked Marianne this closely before she shot Jacob, I thought, as they released us and we entered the courthouse. The silence was palpable as we followed Dandy and Ben, and our heels clicked on the granite floor. I thought I heard Alexio whistle under his breath a couple of times, but it might have been my imagination. When we reached room 355, Ben turned to us. "This is where the grand jury is convened. We will get a schedule from the bailiff." Jacob and Glenn sat down on a bench near the door. I looked at some framed photographs of early Provo, dirt streets and all. Louise would have loved it. "We are the first on the schedule," said Ben. "They are meeting now and will call us within 30 minutes. Dandy is talking to the council about appearing with you." "Any idea who goes first?" asked Jacob. "Who goes first?" asked Jacob. "Ladies first," I chided, and sure enough, in a few minutes, Ben waved us over. They would receive my testimony now. Jacob looked up as the door opened and sent me a kiss, and Dandy rose from his seat. "I will be out here for the first round, Diana. It's divided into 2 sessions, the second one being the most important. This is simply background stuff. But at any time, should you want me there, just say so. They have to acquiesce." "Okay." I stood before the door as they opened it and marched in. The room was large and plain, with a long table in the middle. 12 jurors of various sizes and shapes sat there while I was sworn in, and the bailiff seated me in a chair before them. Next to me was a pitcher of ice water and several glasses. The chairman spoke when I settled in. "Good morning, Miss Falconer. My name is Miles Dodge. I am the chair of the grand jury for Provo, Utah County. Thank you for joining us." I smiled, not sure whether to make my normal remark about having a choice. I replied, "Good morning. Now we will get directly to the matter at hand, which is the case of the pending indictment against Marianne Stone by the state of Utah. Do you understand the issues and circumstances of which I speak?" "Yes, of course. I've read your subpoena and discussed it with my counsel." "Well then, let's get right to it. I'm sure you're anxious to return to the shores of California." Everyone tittered and smiled, rustling papers in front of them. I observed them while they readied themselves. Besides Miles, to the right was a large blonde woman with neat helmet hair, a chubby Hispanic guy, and 2 black men. All were dressed casually, although Miles had a strange little bow tie with his short-sleeved shirt. At the right end was an older woman with long gray hair wound up on top of her head and secured with what appeared to be 2 knitting needles twisted into her bun. "May we begin a brief history of your relationship to Mrs. Stone," said Miles, straightening the clip on his bow tie. One side pulled his collar askew, but never mind, he made the effort. Certainly, Mrs. Stone was formerly married to Kevin Stone, the actor. They have been divorced for many years and have a child together named Belinda. Perhaps I should say had a child together, as Mr. Stone is dead, so all of this is in the past tense. It took a minute for this to sink in. A black woman at the other end of the table spoke up. "Was this the accident at Big Sur last Christmas that you're speaking of?" "Yes. Kevin was killed in a helicopter crash on Christmas Eve." "What was your connection to Kevin Stone, Miss Falconer?" Miles scribbled notes as he spoke. "At the time of his death, of course. He was my fiancé. We planned to be married next year." "And what about the daughter? Belinda Rose Stone. Was she part of the bargain? What bargain was that, Mr. Dodge? Again, murmurs and snickers from the corner where the two guards stood at ease. I meant to say, was Belinda going to live with you and Mr. Stone? Well, we hadn't gotten that far, to be honest. She was a mixed-up girl and sometimes talked about emancipation.